Chapter 8. On Imuum. There was a banquet going on inside the house on Imuum, but Seina was staying a safe distance away with Fuku. Fuku, you're a girl. If you want to go, you can go anytime. Mia. Fuku cried. She didn't want to leave. I understand. I won't force you to go. I just wanted to say that if you wanted to, you could go. He hugged her. Mia. Seina was lonely. It felt similar to how he felt before he met Kiriko. In order to gain peace of mind, he concentrated on Fuku and trying to feel Fuku's body temperature and heartbeat. It was the same for Fuku. I'm not alone. As soon as his mind acknowledged it, his anxiety was gone. I'm tired from today. Let's go to bed now. We can play some more in the morning. For Seina, the night brought no pleasure. Darkness limited his behavior and doubled the danger. Mia. Fuku yawned. Seina seems to have gone to bed. Kiriko, who was watching Seina's house from the treehouse window, said, Woo, now it's time for the adults to party. Sita-sama. How many times do I have to remind you? I have the body of a child. But you're almost as old as Mikami and me. I've just been released from being age-fixed. I'm trying not to overexert myself. It was important to be careful for several years after an age fix was released. Neju had just resumed growth for the first time in hundreds of years, so she was in a sort of rehabilitation period. During that time, if she overexerted herself or wasn't careful, her growth would be hindered. And if she did something wrong, she could stunt her growth. You just don't want to drink, so you can go run off to Seina's bedroom and give him the old, it's too noisy, I can't sleep, shtick. Everyone glared at Neju. Unlike you all, I have no such desires. Since being freed from the shrine maiden life, I have been given the ability to grow up again, and I want to live as an ordinary girl. An ordinary girl? Yes, which is why I accepted Eri's invitation to attend elementary school at the academy. I start school next month. But didn't you already finish basic education long ago? I told you I want to live as an ordinary girl, so my purpose is not that of study, it's to finally get to live my life. That said, Sito, Mikami, and Kiriko had no objections. Especially Kiriko, who noticed Neju on Earth envying Yoshiko. For Neju, who was age-fixed as a shrine maiden, she lacked all the experiences of an ordinary girl. I see Yoshiko must have had quite the influence on you when you went to Earth. I will admit that Neju-sama doesn't seem to be a threat, but this is Imuum. I can't approve of you sleeping with Seina. I can't do anything with this body anyway, and I don't care for Seina like that. He is my older brother. Neju said with a wry smile to Kiriko, who had on an intimidating face. Oh, so you haven't noticed it then? Your heart pulsing. As Jaikirin pointed out, Neju quickly checked her wrist and confirmed her pulse. The shrine maiden was trained to be cool at any time. Neju's pulse was faster than usual. I see. It looks like I'm not unaffected by this place. Neju admitted that she was affected by the aroma effect of Imuum. However, I don't want to stick around this evening. Why don't you want to party with us? I don't like it when you're drunk. Neither does Seina. That's why he's off on his own in bed. It's a shame, really. I don't know about you, but I didn't come to Imuum to party with a bunch of women. Sita-sama. Seina is still a minor. I know. Stop repeating yourself like an idiot. He isn't any different from an adult, both in skill and experience and work. No, there are few adults who have the abilities and skill that Seina has. Hell, a little while ago in Japan, for his rank alone, he would have been treated as an adult. Even in the Galactic Federation, if you graduate from the GP Academy, you're recognized as an adult. That doesn't mean that you can advance his graduation ahead of schedule. What I want to say is that it's his mental attitude that matters. What is that supposed to mean? Kiriko, you treat Seina as a child. How long do you want to keep him as a child? That's what I mean. Well, that's You don't suddenly become an adult because of your age. Seina already has the skills to live by himself and protect himself. We only have to wait for the age-related problem to be cleared. Other than that, he is the captain of the Kamedake. Do you know what that means? In other words, it was provisional, but he was officially/legally treated as an adult. Originally, someone of his age would not be allowed to do so, but they made an exception and let him become a captain ahead of time. Of course, that doesn't mean we should rush him into sexual relations ahead of time, but you're not even preparing him for being an adult. Don't you want to be his first? Does he even know? Well, that's, it's still, Kariko blushed and deflected her eyes. If possible, I would like to wait until things solidify naturally, but the circumstances surrounding Sena are changing at an ever-accelerating rate. Why do you think we decided to give you a vacation at this time? That is, oh, yes, because you destroyed the Fortune Fleet. The Fortune Fleet was a top-secret plan of the Daruma Guild, directly planned by President Daruma. Being hostile to Daruma up to now was only instigating a skirmish with the members of the guild, but Daruma has finally set Sena as enemy number one this time. Kariko, who noticed the seriousness of the situation, shut down. Security around Sena is going to be tightened even further, which is going to affect even his private life. In fact, there are rumors that others are already planning to try to make matches with him. Mikami-sama, are you serious? You would be lucky if you are ever even qualified to become a candidate for his hand in marriage. Of course, at the present time, if you wish so, you will be made top priority. So, if you don't want him to be taken by a woman he does not know, please take this vacation to look inside your heart and, of course, each other's. Sita-sama. Mikami brought her face close to Sita's ear and whispered something. Kariko's eyes widened. That's a good idea. Let's talk to Sena about it immediately tomorrow. What are you planning on doing? The expression on Sito's face worried Kariko. Well, I may as well explain it to you now that you are all here. Sito said. Good morning, Sena. Kurchi gently said. Good morning. Sena, who woke up, noticed he was in Kurchi's world and jumped up. I'm sorry, Kurchi, I couldn't bring NB. It's okay. As I always tell you, I'm used to that kind of thing. It would be selfish of me to be upset over it. That's true. Is that all you could think of to say? Kurchi slapped him. As he rubbed his face, he heard a noise and wondered what it was. Waves. From the outside, he faintly heard the sound of the waves. Sena approached the window and looked at the view outside. Is this? Imuim. The scenery spreading from the window was that of Imuim. Kurchi, is this the real one? When Sena turned around, the internal structure of the house had changed to the treehouse of Imuim's main island. Kurchi gently whispered to Sena, who was confused. Arisama recreated it, so I wouldn't be mad that I couldn't come. Sena quickly looked around, but Eri was nowhere to be seen. Please don't worry, Arisama is not here. She's up to something more important on your planet. Kurchi gently smiled at Sena, and Sena, who saw that face, finally let go of his vigilance and sat down on the bed. Well, that's good. Oh. Did Sena just get here? Asked Miki's father, Hiroshi, as he went outside to change into his bathing suit. He was wearing sunglasses and an aloha shirt with his swim shorts. There was a beach umbrella on the sandy beach. Next to him, Raireza was lying on a beach towel. I have never actually been to Imuim, but it really is a paradise. Raireza was in a bikini swimsuit. When he saw Raireza, she was usually in a white lab coat, so he had never really seen the lines of her body. But now he was able to see them in the bathing suit. And it was pretty glamorous looking, but a bit scary for him to look at. It feels strange to me that something like this is virtual reality. I heard that Sito gave permission to have this virtual version made. That's why it's so accurate. After all, the reality of the virtual space boiled down to how well they could recreate the environmental data. Everything from astronomical conditions to topography and details of microorganisms that live there, all kinds of data couldn't be acquired for replication without permission. Of course, it was possible to build it to more than 90% accuracy with a certain degree of guessing, but the remaining percentage points were quite important. It's a gift born of Aries' obsession. Yes, I suppose that is so. Sena, Kurchi called. Yes. Sena turned around. How about this? Kurchi looked shyly at him as he looked at her swimsuit. It was nowhere as intimidating for Sena as the fashion show of bikinis the other girls had given him earlier on the beach, but the problem was that he recognized the swimsuit. It was a swimsuit worn in a famous commercial that Sena had seen many times since coming into space. And now a famous idol was wearing the swimsuit he had seen in photo collections and commercials, actually wearing it right in front of his eyes. It wasn't a picture or a video. It gave him an odd feeling of nostalgia. Oh ho, that's not too bad looking on you. Both Hiroshi and Raireza were staring at it with expressions of admiration. Hey, Earth to Sana, are you just going to stand there or are you going to say something? Raireza lightly elbowed Sana in the gut as he stared transfixed. Oh, it suits you. That's the one from the commercial, isn't it? Oh, you recognized it. I'm glad, she smiled. Kerchi pulled Sana by the hand and headed for the sea with him. Such a nice sight. It sounds like you're her father, Hiroshi. You know she's your daughter's rival, don't you? Well, that is true, but at the same time she is just the same as Miki. When she comes back, I think they will be good friends. I think she's going to be a good sister. Sana has a lot of women who help support him. It gives me a somewhat complicated feeling as Miki's father, but the size of the burden he carries and how they help him deal with it makes me a bit envious. Are you sure you don't envy him as a rival? I'm sure there's various complex feelings there, Raireza said because she knew Hiroshi was thinking about Sakiko and how she cared for Sana. Sorry, I said that was insensitive. Oh no. I don't mind. Originally, that was an unrequited love. It's already a long way back in my memories. Well, I still blush when I remember it, but for me those feelings have already settled. That's good. Shall we go swimming for a bit? It's a waste not to in this amazing paradise. Raireza stood up with a supple movement and extended her hand to Hiroshi. I haven't been to the beach since I was a student. Hiroshi took Raireza's hand. He was embarrassed. Oh, yes, that's right. Sana, I have good news. Good news? Yeah. In fact, it's why Miki's father is here today. Miki is alive. Really? For real? Yes, but she's not alive like you are. She is like me, an AI. Miki-senpai is the same as you. Yes, actually. Is that so? So, she was modeled after Aunt Sakiko. Sana remembered what Hiroshi and Sakiko said at the lake when Miki died. I got sort of a nostalgic feeling with her. I feel like I knew on some level. So where is Miki-senpai? Why are you only telling me this now? Do you know for sure? What is going on? To be precise, we just finished deciphering communications from Miki, and unfortunately it was not something where we could quickly find out where she was. Is that so? Just being able to decrypt the encrypted data could be done by me alone, but for the investigation from there on out we had to hire a larger number of people. As you know, Tarrant destroyed her body, and apparently Miki is at Tarrant's home base. Home base? Actually, there was a massive escape from Tarrant's home base. We know that there was an AI who helped those who escaped at that time get away. Wait, was that Miki? Miki was originally on a satellite orbiting the home base, but she escaped by causing a fight with the pirates and those who escaped. She escaped to Tarrant's base on the planet's surface. Unfortunately, leaving with the escaping people was too big of a risk for her, but in any case, Tarrant is not aware that Miki has moved to his planetary base. How do those who escaped not know the location of Tarrant's home base? Didn't they escape from there? Their ships could only fly to a fixed position by autopilot. They had to abandon the ship as soon as possible and didn't have time to get the flight data. Another reason why their escape was difficult was that they had the seed of a royal tree, the one that caused the pirates to chase after you. Miki was behind that. Well, the deserters brought it with them, but she had no part in that. I see why Miki chose not to come with them. There was a large possibility that all of them would fail to escape. His base is supposed to be so well concealed that its location is a secret comparable to the location of the Big Daruma. How do we find such a place? The escapees didn't spend much time there, but their testimonies increased the number of things we have to identify the location of Tarrant's home base. Since we found out about this, we have been searching for his base and searching for Miki, one location at a time. But finding Miki's whereabouts is much trickier than you think and requires advanced political judgment. Political judgment. Tarrant is deeply involved with the center of Galactic Federation politics, which was originally spawned from the remnants of the Shank Guild, which boasted a major force much more advanced than the Daruma Guild, many of whom were transferred to the Galactic Federation when the Shank Guild was dismantled. Is their loyalty still that deeply rooted? It's more like there are those who want to be safe instead of sorry. The Shank Guild in its prime was said to be a scientific power that was comparable to the Academy. Now, there are only some remnants of that, but even one deadless ship is a considerable threat. So, there are those who would like to not get on his bad side. So, they've had to move slowly and quietly. That's how Eri put it. But only one location at a time. Do you think they will be able to ever rescue Miki-senpai? If we focus on crushing Tarrant, it's only a matter of time. That is the conclusion that Eri-sama has reached. The real problem is that we have no way of knowing how much military strength he has stored at his base. In such a situation, can we do something to help Miki? Maybe the Kamadake can, Sena thought that he wanted to join in the fight with the Kamadake. The Kamadake was perfect as a fighting force to rival any other, but the problem was that its captain was Sena. Well, maybe we can get someone else to be the captain. It's going to take quite a while, honestly, so you will have to wait till then to decide what to do. A small but powerful research team has been organized. When Jurai moves out, I'm sure they will have enough royal tree ships that you won't be needed, I promise. Do they need royal tree ships? Yes, after a detailed survey by the Academy, Jurai, and Senoa's research team, they concluded they're going to need to use royal tree ships to rescue Miki. Sena felt dizzy. He knew rescuing her wasn't going to be easy, but never expected it to be so hard they needed to resort to using royal tree ships. But it was necessary to use whatever power they had. Even if the Shank Guild had boasted a huge power in the past, it was now under the control of the Daruma Guild, which made them more dangerous to go after than ever. It's all thanks to you. In general, if you were going to rescue Miki yourself, they wouldn't need to deploy the royal ships. But for you, the royal family of Jurai, the leaders of the Academy and Senoa have all agreed that this is one such circumstance where they will allow the operations of a royal ship to do such a thing. What, really? I don't know anything more about the timetable on that, but I wanted to let you know as soon as possible. The next morning, Sena awoke refreshed. He got up gently so as not to wake Fuku. The sun was just peeking over the horizon. He took a deep breath of morning air and stretched. In the treehouse, Kariko and the others were still asleep. He couldn't hear any sound coming from their abode. For a moment, it seemed that Sena was alone in this world. However, that relieved him. He felt comfortable now. Now, what should I do today? I already made my own base. I already make my own meals. Oh, yeah. He remembered he should change the location of the fish traps. Oh! What's that? A fish like a swordfish charged at Sena. Fuku saw it charging and rushed at the fish. Fuku grabbed the fish in her mouth like a dog. As expected, the noise woke up the girls and got Kariko's attention. Ringo-chan, do you know anything about this fish? Yes, species 3329 of Lake B. It's quite expensive. Expensive? Is the dish it makes worth the price? Well, yes, it has a nice firm texture. You can enjoy it with a variety of arrangements. But if it's big enough, the meat quality will change. I think that it is better to cook with than to make into sashimi. The other two species you brought with you are scallops. There are species 299 of rank S, which can be either cooked or served as sashimi. The flat one is species 59399 of rank D. It should be minced and deep-fried. Ringo, why are you using rank and number? Don't they have names? Even when Sena examined them online, only the numbers were displayed. This number is their name. Although there are academic classification species names, there is no proper name for this fish. The universe was wide and the living things in it were diverse. It was impossible to name each kind in the infinite expanse of space. Like the Earth, the planet's own creatures were named, but gradually that became troublesome to do elsewhere, so they had given up and were named numerically, one by one. Of course, there were times that special discoveries were given names, but that was pretty rare. Rank represents the commercial value, up to rank C is for cooking, the rest are for feed processing. Huh, I see. Alright then. Let's make breakfast this morning with Sena's harvest. Sito said as she lifted the huge fish on her shoulder and headed to the kitchen. Wow! Look at Sito-sama, Amain said. Wait. Sito. Let me carry it. Sena quickly followed her. Oh, sorry, I forgot this is your catch, Sena. That's not what I meant. It made him nervous to let a woman carry heavy things, that was all. Sana had no choice but to smile wryly as she handed him the large fish. Breakfast that morning was fish burgers. They tasted more like chicken than fish. I am impressed you caught it, it's a big one. While I'm here I decided that I'm going to try to be as self-sufficient as possible. Oh, Sana, do you enjoy being a survivalist? This place is rich in seaweed, fish, and shellfish, so it is not really like being a survivalist, but it's something fun. Sana's eyes were sparkling. I see, Sita said as she smiled at Ringo. An interview with the crew? Why? Sana responded to Mikami when they finished breakfast. I think it will be good for you as a captain to get to know your crew better by talking to them. I understand that, but one-on-one, why? Mikami was dressed like a swimsuit model. She rearranged herself to emphasize her cleavage. This is an important story. You better pay attention to me. Ho ho ho. Please stop that. Fine. I guess it can't be helped. Fortunately for Sana, Mikami corrected herself and started speaking seriously. However, she was still a beautiful woman in a swimsuit in front of Sana. He had a hard time keeping his eyes off her even without a provocative pose. When the Kamidake's operation becomes formalized, you will be under the jurisdiction of the GP, so the crew composition of the Kamidake may change slightly. Even so, not everything will change, but some may be relieved of duty. To be on the Kamidake's crew is dangerous. If you are unfamiliar with the crew members, it could become a burden on the crew if it ever gets too big. It can also be said that this is a good exercise for actual war training. If the Kamidake is officially deployed, there will be many cases where unfamiliar troops will be dispatched to work with you, and the management of those people is a part of the captain's job as well. Indeed, the captain's position sure is a serious one, isn't it? Of course. And a detailed psychological check of the crew members is important. You will always have experts and NB will helping to support you on that, so it's not up to your judgment alone. Yeah, but NB, does it have to help with that? It's kinda. Mikami smiled a bit. I'll see what I can do about that when the time comes. We might be able to get you a more decent NB. Please. Well, it is not necessary to have a professional psychological check of the crew done right now, but it's the captain's job to grasp the situation of the crew that helps him navigate, and to consult with them about their troubles. In the process of becoming the captain, there is a gradual accumulation of experience. But you don't have much of that. So, let's get you that experience little by little. Okay. Although you live with the crew, you haven't had much time to talk on a one-on-one basis with any of them other than Kariko, so use this occasion to do that. Understood, he said, determined. Mikami issued a V sign towards Sito that was invisible to Sana. This is a vacation still though, so we will space them out. That way you have time to think about what to say. Sure. So please, don't forget to save some time for conversation. I'm thinking after dinner is best. Okay. Where should we do the talking? Your room seems like a good place. But that's my room. It's an uncomfortable place to call people to. It's the only place that can be secured as a private room, and the place where you would normally do this is the captain's cabin, don't you think? True, but, he was resistant to be alone with someone in such a small area. I don't think there will be any problems, relax. Well, if you say so, then I'm good with it. Sana stood up and bowed, and quickly headed to his room. I have to make this place a room where people can sit down and talk to me comfortably. He looked around the room. It wasn't a mess, but wasn't terribly fit for hosting a conversation. There were Sana and Fuku's beds and a lantern, as well as a harpoon and fishing tools to catch fish. Yeah, this place needs a place to sit down. He didn't even want to entertain the thought of having them sit side by side on the bed. Fortunately, there were stone tables and chairs, so if he put a cushion on it, he could make something work. He dove into the sea and got some sea silk and got to work. Why is he gathering more sea silk? Kariko and Amain were looking at him while resting in the shade of trees. Perhaps he's going to put it in his room for the interview. He's probably just prepping. Talking to Sana one-on-one. I'm surprised. I thought you would be opposing this as hard as you could. On the contrary, if we're alone, I think that things will be rather calm. I don't expect anyone to do anything funny. I see. So you think it will be better if there isn't a runaway collective consciousness. But what? Well, what do you plan to talk to him about Kariko? Kariko looked embarrassed and turned to walk away. Amain grabbed her. Hey, don't just walk away, answer the question. I think that it might be a good opportunity to review my relationship with Sena. You mean how you're placing a distance between you and Sena? Some people may have a choice not to, but of course I don't feel that to be true. Well, what about you? What are you going to talk to him about? Amain turned red and turned her back on Kariko. Kariko seemed to be upset by this, but she did not pursue the question any further. In the treehouse bedroom, Irma, Ringo, and Neja played with Fuku. What are you going to talk about with Sena, Ringo? Irma said while grooming Ringo's hair. I think that Sita-san and Mikami's intention is to persuade Sena, so the content of what I say will change accordingly. To persuade him? Irma, you have been with Sena longer than I have. Don't you know how Sena thinks about himself and his private life? Oh, that's what you mean by persuade him. Well, I certainly know what you mean. Sena has a complex about himself. It's because of his bad luck. He has no hopes or dreams for the future. No dreams really at all. Things being impossible for him just seems unavoidable. It's something Kariko was never able to fix with him. Neja said, getting into the conversation. The order which Mikami decided we talk to him in was probably arranged for that purpose. So what I say will change depending on how far we are in the process, but in my case, I'd like to get to know him better. But I don't know if that will be possible. Despite saying that, Ringo looked happy. Sprouts bleeding out, flowers blooming and becoming fruit, Nejo sang while playing with Fuku. But who will eat that fruit? Irma smiled unexpectedly. Mia. Oh, are you eating that fruit, Fuku-chan? Mia. Fuku misunderstood the meaning of that phrase, and the girls couldn't resist laughing at Fuku's response to it. Hakuren's team was working on the beach. Even before Sena arrived, maintenance was done by those who managed Imuum, but still various things naturally washed up on the beach. They were removing seashells, seaweed, pebbles, anything that could harm Sena, and they set up beach umbrellas and beach mats. Should we help Sena? Karen saw Sena hunting for sea silk. He seems to be having fun, why interfere? I know. Karen blushed. I'm wondering what we're going to talk to Sena about, not only us, but Kariko's group as well. They feel the same about him, don't they? Just like Jayakiran. I won't get distracted from why we're here in Jirai, so don't worry. Jayakiran said while working. I'm not worried about that. I just think that depending on what the others say, I should change what I say. Oh, is that why you're bringing up how I feel about Sena? As long as you don't forget why we're here in Jirai in the first place and don't let it interfere with the mission, I don't care what you feel. Hakuren said. Please don't make an excuse for Jayakiran's feelings. Huh. Swearin suddenly said. Everyone was surprised. After her bioenhancement was adjusted by Washu, she had begun talking a lot more. But what was she trying to say? Hakuren. I, and surely Karen too, are also concerned about Sena. Hey, how can you feel that way when we have a mission? If the Kamadic is as strong as they say it is, if we benefit from it, I see no reason not to stay with Sena. Huh, then it's decided by majority vote. But what if that judgment is wrong? What if we have to get away from Sena? What will you do then, Jayakiran? I will do everything to find a way to make it, so we don't have to. Jayakiran responded immediately. What would you do if you couldn't find such a way? Hakuren's expression was painful, but Jayakiran smiled without fear of it. Then I would search until I found such a way. That's what she said. Hakuren grew silent and said nothing more. In the interviews, we go right after Sito's group. We need to decide what we should do. Is Sito aware of our purpose for being here? Remember Karen. Washisama was aware that we were from the royal families just at first sight. Are you saying? Perhaps Sito also knew from the time she picked us up. It is reasonable to think so. No. No way. So, then we were chosen to be her officers so that we could easily access Jurai's confidential information. Hakuren, who kept silent till then, opened her mouth. Hakuren, when you think about it, we were an unusual case. We moved up the ranks quickly and frequently, and our actions were always given free rein. It's clear to me now that being assigned to Sena exclusively might have been because she knew our purpose for being here. She was more confident of it when she said it than the average person. She had thought about it over and over in her thought loop. But, if so, what is Seto's purpose? What is the big picture? Suerin suddenly hit Hakuren's head lightly. Just like when Karen did it, it stopped Hakuren's thought loop. What is important isn't something that can be thought about. The most important thing is what we feel about Sena. This isn't something we can take a majority vote on. This is our individual decision. It's a thing our hearts must decide. Suerin sat down on the beach towel bed and laid down. Suerin. I'm tired from talking so much. With that she fell asleep. How we think of Sena. Now I'm even more worried about what Kariko's team will say. Karen said while staring at Suerin's restful sleeping face.